Hello everyone and welcome to the Index of Avalon. In this series I'll be focusing on one aspect of the game, Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, thoroughly explaining the basic rules, the nitty-gritty, and the rare circumstances. Warning, Chapter 1 event cards will be spoiled in this video near the end of it, but I will announce another warning before that occurs. With that said, let's learn everything there is to know about the event deck. The event deck is one of the most important pieces to the game. These event cards will set you out on quests that can branch out onto multiple paths and help you progress in the main story as well. We're now going to go through how to build the event deck. The first thing you're going to want to grab is this Chapter 1 setup card. There is one for each of the 15 or so chapters in the game, and this will help you set up the event deck. The event deck, the encounter deck, and anything else pertaining to the story. Why don't we walk through this together? So, starting on the front side, as you notice right here, it says front here, and on the back it'll say back. So starting on the front side, it will tell us how to prepare the event deck. It says, basically says, find all parts of Chapter 1 and stack them from 6 bottom to 1 top. So we are going to grab these event cards. This is what they look like. We will then order them sequentially from Chapter 1 Part 1 to Part 2, Part 3, 4, 5, and 6. Your event deck is now ready. But things can change as you go through these events. So let's get back to the setup card real quick, and we're actually going to read through these hints real quick. It says, hint, always take extra care when building the event deck, and double check that it's stacked correctly, with Part 1 at the top and the rest in ascending order. Another hint, some events will modify the event deck, for example by adding random events on top of it. Additionally, the exploration journal sometimes asks you to resolve a specific part of the chapter. In such case, take that specific card from the deck and resolve it without altering the rest of the pile. We will talk about random events in a moment, but the part that talks about the exploration journal we will demonstrate real quick. So we have our event deck, Chapter 1 Part 1 all the way to Part 6. So let's see. So let us say that we've already gone through 2 events. So 1 and 2, we are taking these from the top of the event deck and we are placing them in the discard pile. I'm not flipping these over just to avoid any spoilers for anyone who doesn't want them. Okay, now let's say the exploration journal asks us to resolve Chapter 1 Part 6. We would then pick up the event deck, search through it until we found Chapter 1 Part 6, pull it out of the deck, place the remaining cards back down in the same order as they were. They're not shuffled or changed in any way. Then we would flip it over and we would resolve what it tells us to do on the back side. Now, if it doesn't move it, now if we flip this over and it tells us to move on to Chapter 2, that would be a whole different thing. We would need to set up a whole brand new event deck. But if it doesn't tell you to alter the event deck in any way, you would discard this card and continue to draw 1 event card at the beginning of every day. Okay, or at the beginning of every turn. Now, let's say we flip over an event card and it states that we need to add 6 random event cards to the event pile. So this is the random event deck. We would, if it asks us to put 6 of them there, we would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we would place them on top of the event deck. This means that before we can resolve Chapter 1 Part 3, we will have to go through all of these random events, drawing 1 per turn from the event deck. Okay? These extra random event cards that are not on top of this, you just keep these aside. You never draw cards directly from this pile of unused random event cards, okay? Let's see. One other type of event card that we need to keep our eye out for is the event cards that contain main story quests. I'm going to be covering this up so you won't be spoiled on it. But, so for example, this is Chapter 1 Part 1, and this will contain the main quest, to start you off on your main quest. It will be noted by this red padlock in the corner. When you draw a card with this red padlock, you will need to place it in a separate pile from your event deck and your discard pile. So somewhere along maybe the side right here. Let me just scooch this over for a moment, see if I can keep this covered up. But you do keep if it has a red padlock here, you keep it separate from your event deck or your discard pile. All right? Let's see. You will only swap this quest card out if you are told to by the exploration journal or if you fulfill the quest, which is outlined in this red box right there. Okay? Now, one mistake I often see with new players is they keep the random event decks separate and never place any of them on top of the main event deck. So, for example, they would just have, these are kind of like the main event cards, and they would draw one, and then they wouldn't be drawn anymore, and they would just be drawing from random events over and over and over again, and that's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to mix in the random events with your event cards, just like we demonstrated before. If it tells you to put 6 cards on top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you take those, you place them on top of the event deck. Okay. Now, let's see. So, also of note, when you that quest card I showed you just a moment ago. Let me pull this up real quick. Oh, where did it go? Well, this is a little embarrassing. Oh wait, sorry. So this quest card right here, when you fulfill this quest and you finish the first chapter and you move on to the second chapter, it's important to note that nothing happens in terms of your character unless stated. So for example, you don't rest at the end of every chapter, you don't reset your energy, your health, or your terror. You just continue on with the game as if nothing really happened. Like I said, unless completing the main quest or this event card tells you to do so, you don't do anything. You just keep playing the game. If you're in the middle of the day and you complete the chapter, you just move on. All right. So one thing I just want to say that 99% of the problems that people have when it comes to the event deck is because they didn't read slowly or close enough. As it was in the hint, you need to make sure that you double check everything when it comes to the event deck, as this deck of cards is what drives your story forward. And if it's not set up correctly, it can have a large negative impact on your experience of playing the game. You could even end up kind of stuck in a cycle. You can end up in an area that you have no idea what's going on, and then it just makes the experience pretty tough to deal with. Okay, so this is your warning. Now we're going to run through the event deck for Chapter 1 in total. If you do not wish to be spoiled, I suggest you turn off this video now and go forth and explore Avalon. If you need more of a visual demonstration, please proceed forward. Chapter 1 event cards don't contain any major spoilers in terms of the overall story, in my opinion, but I won't be offended if you turn this video off right now. Okay, so here we go. So just like how the Chapter 1 setup tells us to do, we're going to prepare the event deck. This might be repeated, but like I said, this is super important, so I want to make sure everybody knows. You start with Chapter 1, Part 1, go to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to set that right here, actually right there. You're also going to want to have your random event cards nearby as well. All right. Now, as we read through, so we already read through this whole half. And just a note on this setup, this Chapter 1 setup, it also helps you set up your encounter deck. It says build your 4 encounter decks: gray, green, purple, and blue. And then if you're playing as one player, you will use all the cards that have only one red banner on it. And if you have 2 to 4 players, you use all the cards with 1 and 2 red banners on it. And I will explain what that is in another video when I cover combat and diplomacy and other encounters. So, you notice here it says shuffle the decks, talking about the encounter decks. If this is your first game, place a matching your first encounter card on top of each encounter deck. Okay. You are now ready to start Chapter 1 of the Fall of Avalon. As your first action of the game, try exploring your starting location. Remember to read the introduction of the exploration journal before you explore for the first time. Now, discard this. This is important. This is something that I actually missed and it was just pointed out to me. Now, discard this card and reveal the top card of the event deck. So this occurs before your first turn even starts. Okay? So we're going to do that now. So we're going to flip over Chapter 1, Part 1. And it says, place this card on top of the active quest pile. My active quest pile is going to be over here. The time is short. The guardian menhir that has been protecting your town since the ancient days is about to go dark. Rumor has it that there's a secret druidic ritual that may help you rekindle the menhirs. You must explore the location surrounding Kunnakat. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Apologies. You must search around this area to find it. So this section in the red box, this is our main quest that we need to fulfill in order to proceed on to Chapter 2 and, to get to the end of the game. So, quest. Earn a Menhir Rights secret card. To do so, you will have to explore the location surrounding Location 101. So a secret card, those little tiny cards that have just a number on the back and it says secret in the bottom right corner. And you will get this Menhir Rights card by exploring the locations around Location 101. Success. So this is what happens when you succeed. Once you get the Menhir Rights card, you will then go to the success, and it says, as soon as you have Menhir Rights, resolve the Chapter 1 Part 5 card from the event deck and discard this card. Remember not to change the structure of the rest of the deck. Okay? So, let's say, for example, so we flip this over, and we quickly find the Menhir Rights card. Just to demonstrate real quick, we would then grab our event deck, turn to grab Part 5, flip it over, and resolve what it tells us to do. But for now, we're just going to continue onward. So, once again, note that this card is flipped over before your first turn starts. Now your turn begins. So the order of the day, if I remember it correctly, the first thing you do is you reduce your Menhir dials down by 1, and very soon after that, before you do any actions, you draw 1 card from the event deck. So why don't we grab Chapter 1, Part 2. So this one's called Exodus. Homeless vagabonds roam the roads and trails. Many hail from fishing villages further west, where the last menhirs went dark weeks ago. Though malformed and sick, they're the lucky ones. Their tales chill you to the bone. Is this the fate that awaits your land? Help. This is an event you can do. Help the refugees. Each player may spend 1 wealth or 1 food to gain 1 rep and 1 experience. Remember that it says or, and you do need to spend this. So you can't get this reward unless you spend one wealth or 1 food. Place 5, -1 per player, additional random events on top of the event deck. Then discard this card. So, we're going to be pretending that we're doing a solo playthrough. So, place 5 -1 per player means we need to take 4 of these random event cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and place them on top of our event deck. Okay? So now then your turns will start. You'll do all the actions you need to do and so forth. You're going to play through the game multiple days going forth. At the start of every day, you're going to take one of these random events and you're going to flip it over. That's a bad one. We're going to flip it over. That's another bad one. We are not doing very well so far. This on your third turn, that's a third bad one. Okay, we're probably going to be dead here in a second. Finally, on the fourth turn, we'll draw another random event. Then we get to turn 5, and we will then flip over Chapter 1, Part 3. This one is called Signs and Omens. You recognize many constellations in the night sky: the twin warriors, the seal and her cub, the wench, and also the cup, which is said to have appeared in the heavens when Arthur claimed the Grail. Now it seems that one of the stars on its edge has turned red, as if the cup was leaking blood. What foul omen is this? Your time is running out. The next travel of every character costs 1 energy less. Place 1 additional random event on top of the event deck, then discard this card. Okay, so we're going to take this, put it in our discard pile. We're going to take 1 random event, place it on top. Start of the next turn, we will take this random event, flip it over, go throughout the day. The next day, we will then draw Chapter 1, Part 4. This one is Dying of the Light. Check the menhir. If there is an active menhir in Kanakot, location 101, your starting location, put this card on the top of the event deck. So if the menhir in location 101 is out, you would then take this and you would put it back on top of your event deck. Reason being, so basically what's going to happen is you're going to flip this over every single time until you fulfill this quest here. Okay. Now keep in mind, if your menhir is gone, you're going to be dying very, very kind of quickly, actually. But basically, at this point, you're just going to keep flipping this over and over again until you fulfill the quest. But let's flip it back over and let's reveal. So let's say that there is no active menhir on our location 101. It is completely gone out. It says, the weirdness is coming. From now on, in accordance with the menhir and weirdness section of the rulebook, you lose 2 HP and 2 terror at each start of the day, including now, until you are back in range of an active menhir. Okay? And then put this card on top of the event deck. So basically, this card is going to stay right here. It's going to keep repeating over and over again until we fulfill this quest. Okay? So let's say that we have fulfilled our quest now. Okay? So we're going to go back to the success section. And it says, as soon as you have the menhir rights, so let's say, so we got the menhir rights card. Resolve Chapter 1, Part 5 from the event deck and discard this card. Remember not to change the structure of the rest of the deck. So we take this, we'll put it in the discard pile now. We will then find Chapter 1, Part 5, and we'll flip it over. Place this card on top of the active quest pile. So rather than this one is now going to replace it. Despite your best efforts to learn and perform the ancient rite, the menhir in your town seems beyond your help. Disheartened, you realize your only hope is to try to enable one of the 2 statues from the nearby locations. Quest. Activate a menhir in one of the nearby locations, 4 Dweller Mounds 106, or Whitening 107. When you succeed in doing this, when you activate one of these menhirs, resolve the Chapter 1 Part 6 card from the event deck and discard this card. Okay? So, we now need to go forth and activate one of the menhirs that is not in the starting location. And it tells you where the 2 are, location 106 and 107. Let's say we do that. Now we get to resolve Chapter 1, Part 6. Okay? Congratulations, you completed your first chapter of the Fall of Avalon campaign. Each character gains 2 experience and 1 magic. Each character gains 1 free combat deck advancement. Discard your event deck. Place any discarded random event cards back in the random event deck and shuffle this deck. Then either save your game or draw a Chapter 2 setup card and follow the instructions to begin the next chapter. This is titled The End. So, we discard this. It also tells us to discard the rest of our event deck, which only contains this 1 card. And then we also discard our current quest as well. And then we will go through, find all of the random event cards. These will go back in the box. We won't need them anymore. We will take our random events, put them back in with the rest of the random event cards that weren't used in this chapter. Shuffle them up a little bit. And then this is the chapter 1 setup card, but we would then grab the Chapter 2 setup card and set up our next chapter and next section of the game. So another thing just to remind you, once again, when you move from Chapter 1 onto Chapter 2, you don't reset your health, you don't reset your energy, or reset your terror. You don't pass for the rest of the day. You just continue playing as if nothing really happened. Okay? So guys, with that said, thank you everyone for joining me on another episode of the Index of Avalon. I hope this video helped you understand everything you need to know about the event deck and setting it up. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment below the video, and I will respond to them promptly. Happy adventuring, and I hope you have a great day in the land of Avalon.